Hey everybody, how's it going? So, I know it's been a while since I made a tutorial video, but I just wanted to let everything sit and simmer until I get like a bunch of comments and stuff asking questions and stuff. So basically today we're going to do a Q&A. There's probably going to be some really good information here for anyone who's really new to a lot of this stuff. So you might want to watch this one. I'm going to be going through several questions here. Honestly, everyone asked some really good questions and even a lot of like other responses from other people to help give insight for people to create stuff and to build and learn, which is fantastic. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and start things off with something real simple here. This is from Dylan Wright 907. He asks, where can you change the supply capacity of the BTR? For example, the BTR holds 230 supplies, but if you want to change that to 500, I've checked SCR universal slot inventory storage compartment and the SCR edible vehicle component. Thanks for the lessons. Well, Dylan, this is actually really simple, and you actually answered this yourself, but I'm going to go and show other people because this is something I actually did in the past before. When I was working on something with a Blackhawk on Todd's vehicles, I tried doing something with that to have it hold stuff, and that's when I learned, oh, that's built into the skeleton. Which I might explain that a little bit more, and if I forget while making this video, then you know, I can show in the next one about my silly mistakes so you guys don't make the same thing. Anyways, so we need to go ahead and check out these things. So what we're simply going to do is we can't add any more crates onto this. It's just not possible. Basically, in short, they're attached to the skeleton. So when the modder or the base game, etc., makes the vehicle, they also inherit these crates, if you would, onto the vehicle itself, just like the turrets and stuff like that. For instance, if you're familiar with WZ vehicles or WZ tanks, you'll notice that they also use a lot of resources from vanilla and stuff to assemble everything. So really think of all your vehicles like Lego pieces. So after it's all done and completed and copyrighted and smack dab, you can't put another Lego piece on or else it just fumbles and freaks the fuck out. I guess Lego wasn't really the best analogy here, but whatever. We'll give it a shot. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and go to edit prefab. So what we're going to do is we need to get to these crates right here and we need to find them. So where can we find them? If we go under slot manager, we might be able to find one here. Here we go, slot storage. So here we go, we got a supply crate, vehicle 1, and this is what's on here. So it's not gonna highlight, but I know which one it is. It's this one. So what we can do is, for example, we can overwrite it. We could also duplicate, which I'll talk about duplication a little bit later because that was something that was brought up a few times. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna override this thing into our shenanigans here. All right, so once we get that up, we need to find it. Here it is. Okay, so what we're simply gonna do is, now that we got our supply crate opened up, we're gonna go to SCR resource component. It'll start like this. You're gonna wanna expand containers, and from here, you can go ahead and change the value. So right now, as we can see, the value of this is just 40 supplies. All right, so what if you want your BTR to be absolutely crazy? All right, so if we really want to, we can do the resource value current and then hit the max value on top of it. So basically what it's saying is the current is what's the minimum that needs to be loaded, or sorry, what is the value for it to show up on the BTR? And then the max is the maximum amount they can hold before it moves off to the next crate. Think of it like that. That's probably the most dumbest way for me to explain it, but that's gonna be the easiest. So as you can see right now, it's 40 and 40. If I wanted to pop up with just 40, go ahead. And then if you want to have a max, like let's say, I don't know, 500, boom, there we go. And then want to save the prefab. And then since we overrid it, we're going to go ahead and double check our BTR and ensure that that one right there is actually a part of it. So we're going to go back to our slot manager. We're going to go back over here, make sure it's ours right here. As you see, it's underneath our project with Operation YouTube project. We're going to keep using this. And it should be all listed underneath there for that particular crate. Of course, we got other ones on there as well, but all the ones that are similar to this, it will override that, just like what we did in some of the other videos that I didn't see any questions on. So I guess I explained that pretty well. Yay. But anyways, that's how you adjust that. Don't do like something like this. Like let's say, for example, I made this mistake. All right. So we're going to say, what kind of slot is this again? Entity slot info. So we're going to go ahead and go to entity slot info. We're going to call this supply. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. So we're going to call this that. We're going to throw this here. And then as you can see, there's going to be a box underneath here. If I can find it. If I can grab it. It's right there. And this is where it's going to be kind of hard because we got to actually offset it and stuff. But you see how there's a crate right here? We're just placing that down. We can actually move that. Like, let's say a positive would be 50, and it's somewhere in the stratosphere. And it's too far again. There we go. So let's say we wanted a crate to kind of like sit right there, for example. We can do that. However, since what we're doing is adding a skeleton on top of a skeleton, is if the turret moves or the vehicle moves and stuff, it's going to get all whacked out. It's not going to be pretty. I'm going to be dead honest. It's not going to be pretty at all. All right. So don't do that. Just the best way to do it to ensure the integrity of the vehicle, just go ahead and overwrite it. Bada bing, bada boom. Too easy. Next question. What do we have here? Again with Dylan Wright 907. Do non-HQ bases with radios extend the radio range as well? For example, if I had HQ base 1 overlap another base 2 and then add another base 3 that overlapped with the only second base 2 with the third base 3 with radio connectivity? Is the purpose of radio relays just to extend the radio without having to make a base? Can they be captured like a normal base? I'm a bit confused. Okay, so very, very simple. Let's go ahead and open up the world that we were doing in some of the other videos. All right, we're actually going to take a look at this in the Fallujah conflict that I made. Sorry, it's taking me like several times to record this because OBS hates it when I try to record Fallujah here. But anyways, I do have 2 servers. You guys should come check them out. They're the TrashHouse servers. We've got a Middle Eastern modern conflict PvE, and we also have a Vietnam conflict PvE, which is using Operation Rolling Thunder mod set, which go check them out. They're actually doing a lot of great work with the Vietnam stuff. Seriously, great group of guys, especially McTitties for lunch. He's one of my good friends, great developer, and an awesome guy. But anyways, let's go and take a look at this. So if we take a look at Fob Freedom down here, and just forewarned, Fallujah is a small map. We can see by default, we can see these points without the relay tower. But let's go ahead and put one down. I don't know why I keep calling it relay tower. It's a relay station, whatever. So now you can see, we can see a lot more. A lot more. So let's say we decide to move into the city and take Minnesota or Connex City because we're Americans and that's what we do. We get in a Blackhawk and fly on over. Whee! Okay. So we eliminate the context there. They scream. They dead. We want to make sure we get the hexagon there. Boom. So now Connex City is in our control. We can take a look at the map. So now Connex City is going to communicate with Fob Freedom. But since we don't have a radio tower there, we're going to get this icon, which means we're not going to get resources there over time. Also, it is in a, grace period, if you would, of 3 minutes. I do want to clarify, I do have it set up that even without the tower, it's still going to get points, but at a very slow rate compared to having it. So now we're over here. Let's say we're going to take this point right here, okay? Because it's within its range. So we're going to go ahead and take it. We took it from the enemy. Enemy dead. And we were smart and put down a relay tower there. Okay? Now what you're going to see, even though the tower is here, since we have no connection back to Louisiana, we're not going to be able to, again, fully communicate. But we're still able to keep the war train moving. All right? So let's see what happens if the enemy decides to take Minnesota. So as we were attacking and being a little bit graceful, if you would, they come over and they take it. Boom. It's now under their control. Oh no, we don't know what's going on at Virginia because we have no radio communication. Even though we know it's still under our control, we have no visual line of sight, which means we can no longer spawn here. We don't know how much supplies is there, and the enemy's able to retake it with very little resistance whatsoever. So take that as you will. That's how it generally works. You can definitely like leapfrog. You can definitely do some other things. For instance, if I had this tower under my control, which let's go and see what happens. Will it reach Fob Freedom? I don't think so because I actually lowered down the range of the towers a lot since Fallujah is a smaller map. And yes, you can take these back over. The enemy can take it. So to answer that part of the question, yes, the enemy can take it right back over if they want to. Yeah, we're not going to be able to communicate, but basically in short, if we had that under control and it was communicating back with Fob Freedom, this would expand back out and start communicating for Resistance Illinois was on its hideout, which we can bounce off from here and hit this and start taking all this stuff under our control. Which also means if the enemy takes back the tower, all this has no communication, which means that all gets cut off, which I've seen plenty of times in PvP servers is A group will get smart. They see that the radio tower is within the range. They'll take it and bounce more forward and get behind the enemy line and start causing chaos. But the enemy will be smart enough. They'll be like, oh, wait, hey, let's take the tower back. Boom, you're cut off. All that work you just did for nothing. Haha, smile. Anyways, I hope that answers that question. I hope I explained it the best that I can. I know I'm not the greatest at explaining stuff, but hopefully that answers it. Invert 6 actual 585. We're duplicating and renaming instead of overriding fix. So what he's asking here is, someone else mentioned, I can't find his comment, but I know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about if he wants, like, let's say he wants a conflict where you have, let's say everyone has the same thing. So let's say US has a BTR and Russia has a BTR, and this is all vanilla. Can we do that? And let's say you want like different values on them as well, or different ways of different setups. And I'm here to tell you, why, yes, you can. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here and we're going to go and take a look at the vehicles. So we're going to go take back a look at this BTR. We are going to, let's see if we can duplicate it here. We can duplicate it. We're going to call this BTR US. So now we have two. We have two little pieces here. All right. Main reason being is that, again, if I open this up, we're not going to save the map. It's fine. The main reason is if we open this up, we're going to see a lot of faction affiliation for this. If you ever want to get it, just remember it's edible vehicle component. If you look out on here, you're going to see that there's a faction US. Well, there we go. That's US. That's cool. But generally it'd be USSR, for example. So not 100% necessary. However, depending on how you're making your stuff, whether you're faction manager, campaign faction manager, deathmatch faction manager, you might want to change this here so it doesn't have any weird conflictions. It's just always going to be your faction. I've seen modders put their stuff up here on the authored labels. I've seen other people put in the auto labels. It's all right, but just wherever you see the faction here. Also, you want to change this one right here. See faction is US, USSR, put in whatever you want. So when you duplicate it, you can just do that very easily. And this kind of extends things further. For example, I'm making, let me go ahead and show you guys this here. So one of my bigger projects that I'm doing is I'm doing a Middle Eastern collection. So basically in this one project, I have multiple missions. All right. So within here, I have all these different layers, these different worlds, and the missions. Right now I only have Fallujah. Kunar's nav mesh is all messed up, and Mogadishu for some reason I can't launch. I don't know why. But kind of the same thing in here. What I plan on doing is having each role to have its own unit. So for example, if I go in here and go to op4 USSR_Army, I can rename these and do the exact same thing like shown as before. So if I wanted to have not everything be Taliban, if I wanted Iraqi to be Al-Qaeda, I can just simply duplicate this here and then put at the end of all this stuff. If I just hit duplicate again, you can kind of see at the end here, I can put in like Iraq, for example. So I can keep things organized, or _Iraq, doesn't matter. But use duplication if you want like multiple of the same sort of thing, but not exactly being used all the way around. So you don't have US using a USSR vehicle and it kind of messes things up, etc., etc. You guys get the idea. Anyways, let's go up to the next question. For PvP-focused mods and servers, is it okay to ignore NavMesh since I don't plan on using any AI? Or does that break something? So far, I've been getting along just fine on my custom map. And this was from, again, Invert 6 Actual 585. This is a really great question, actually. I've seen this multiple times here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Kunar and kind of show you what kind of happens if you don't have a NavMesh, which I will show you guys right now. The issue right now we have with Kunar, which I hope that the map maker of it fixes this, because this is a really big issue right now. If I go over to my log console, which is going to show me all my errors. If we go down here, we can see pathfinding. Failed to load navmesh from file, will initialize an empty navmesh world. Now, what does that mean? Well, for those who don't really fully understand what a navmesh is a navigational tool for the AI. I like to think of it as like a train tracks and stuff like that going around the whole entire map. So the AI are your little like trains, and the navmesh is the tracks, telling it where it can go, where it can't go, this, that, and the third. Very, very simple. If there is no tracks, train no go. That's the best way to put it. If I launch this, you're going to notice some really weird things going on with the AI. If we take a look over here. Well, first things first, since I don't have a net mesh and it's not actually loading, I can actually get guys right there, but there's some places I can't actually spawn units, weirdly enough. Actually, I wonder if he actually fixed the net mesh. But I've noticed like there's a lot of weird issues that happens, which again, if you're doing PvP, people are going to spawn the barracks. They are going to spawn the unit making facilities, unless you specifically put a rule on your server that say, hey, don't do that. What's going to happen is there's going to be multiple different things that could happen. 1, AI are not going to spawn. 2, AI will spawn, but they're not going to walk around efficiently. Or 3, they'll spawn, they'll stand there, and they don't know what to do, which is pretty funny. So right now, these guys right here kind of move around, but they're not actually doing a full 100% patrol. You see these guys just kind of stopped. Everyone in here is set to patrol/defend this whole entire region. And what you're seeing right now is we have these units all stuck. They don't really know where to go. They look around, but they don't know where to go. They have zero idea. So when you don't put in the SCR AI world in there, you're not going to have AI spawn. If you put a Namesh in there, but it fails to load, you're going to see that it's a quote unquote empty world. It basically is going to try to do a failsafe. We're just going to try to fix it as best as it can. And that's what's going on right here. So these guys are just standing around. They're not going to move. They're not going to react. Well, react efficiently, so to say. And kind of the same thing. If I put down a barracks here and I spawn units, which I can't because I'm level 1 private, they're not going to follow you because there's no tracks. So they'll see where you're going, but they don't know how to follow you, if you get what I'm saying. So is it important to have a net mesh? I say yes. Even if you don't plan on using AI in your map, I would say yes. Because if you do want to do some GMing, or if someone, again, spawns the barracks facility, which is, you got the living quarters and living quarters. I always call it barracks. But if someone decides to spawn this in your conflict or other kind of game mode, they'll go over here, they'll spawn a unit, and then you'll just have a stockpile of a bunch of guys chilling here because every single player who runs over here spawns a guy. Oh, he doesn't move with me. Oh, he doesn't follow me. Oh, that was a waste. You know, so you're just going to have a huge collection of units. And again, for something that's really easy to put in, it's not something you want to skimp out on. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot without putting that manager in. It's really simple, takes 5 seconds, and you're just kind of limiting yourself. Don't ever limit yourself. All right. This is from J-Dog, J-D-W Wang. I'm just going to call him J Wang, 4609. Hey, dude, just discovered your videos. Thank you. Quick question. What exactly is the difference between standard world and the Game Master world? If I make a mission using scenario framework setup and then go into Game Master, what am I missing out on? Well, very simple. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look here. What's the difference? What's the difference between different worlds that we see around all this stuff here? Let's go ahead and take a look, for example, at, where's the first one? Mogadishu. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look here. So generally, your base map, your map that doesn't have any properties on it or any managers, is generally going to be, for example, here, Mogadishu.ent. If you see something like, for example, Mogadishu_test, or if we go back one, or GM Mogadishu, they kind of have a self-explanatory. GM Mogadishu has the GM properties already into it. For example, if I open this up and I just take a look at its managers, which I already know what to kind of look for. So sometimes some map creators are really cool. They'll leave it on the default layer, or they'll put it on a manager layer, or they'll just hide it all together, which is funny. But here, default. So you see, we already have everything we need. All done. Everything's all done. As you can see, it's all set. Easy peasy lemon squeezing. So if I was just doing, like, for example, let's say I'm doing a Milsim group, doing Zeusing or GMing, I would just put in this world, and then I'll start adding things in that I would like to, you know, put in, have fun. Oh, he actually added more things around here. Ooh, he made it more lively. I'm excited. Anyways, I'm losing track now. Anyways, that's what that is. If I just go to, for example, the test layer, who knows what we'll find? Wow. Amazing. What a great test layer. So, again, very simple. If you just want something that doesn't have any properties in it, you're just going to look for the name of the map in .ent. If you're looking for just Game Master, it would be GM Mogadishu. If you're looking for another one, for example, if I go up, I think Fallujah has it. Let me find it here. Oh, he has all the different layers and stuff. I thought he had a conflict built into Fallujah. I guess I'm wrong. But generally, you'd have just like, you know, GM or conflict or whatever, and the name of the map if they're a good map maker. But yeah, that's really the difference, man. That's it. It's just what's in the world. I prefer, if I'm just doing my own products, I prefer just to do the base map with no other properties or managers baked into it. One of the biggest problems I have is another map called Winchester, Illinois. The guy only has one thing, and it's just this. But when I open it up, guess what's in his managers? GM. So I can't do anything with this map if I want to do a conflict, for example. It's very irritating. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what you're looking for. I hope I made that simple. Any more questions, just let me know. Anyways, on to our last question here. Exion TV. Hey, what game mode do I use for an Arma Life RP-based server? Smile face. Well, you're not the only one who's asked me this question to do something that's not a base scenario that's in the game itself. So a lot of these like game modes, like for instance, Overthrow, Overthrow and stuff like that, they have their own way of doing it. They have their own managers they built all by hand. There's a lot that goes into that stuff. If you're asking those questions and like how to do something like that, I'm not the guy to ask that. And two, it is pretty difficult. And I can tell you right now that the people who work on those aren't really going to be too happy to kind of share all the info what they did exactly. I wouldn't say happy, but they're not going to like release that information willingly, if you get what I'm saying. Because there's a lot of work in it. It is very confusing to go into it. For example, if I go into, let's see. Oh, did you guys like Fallujah? Look at all those errors, by the way. That's what I've been having to deal with. Anyways, if I go in here and type in game mode, for example, and we go to Arma Reforger, we have game mode base. All right. So here we have all the defaults that we have, right? It's just all the defaults, everything just default. That's all it is, all the base game stuff. But if I want to do something else, if I want to add more, I would just go down here and do add component. And then you got a huge list here of what you can add onto it. So this is how people are able to make these like very interesting game modes that aren't base, like Overthrow, Anastasi. I've been seeing like a Cops and Robbers one that someone made. It was pretty underbaked, but it was actually pretty interesting. Life servers. I can tell you right now, with a little bit I've looked at life servers, there is a lot of scripting going on that there's not just this manager. There's so much going in there and stuff and baked into it and stuff. It's a lot. Unfortunately, I'm not really too big into scripting. I'm not that smart. I have a hard time when it comes to scripting. But as you can see here, there's a lot that you can like throw in. You got so many components to add that you can just really build up your base mode. If you have an idea, you know, play around with it. There's some other great tutorial videos out there. I can't think of by name, but if I do remember them, I'll put it down in the description down below and explain it. But anyways, that's all the questions I got. Again, there's a lot of really great questions. Several questions been answered by other people in the community, which is absolutely fantastic. I hope you guys learned something from this video, from the questions. If you guys have any other questions, just please let me know. And hey, I do run 2 servers. They're called the TrashHouse servers. We got TrashHouse Modern, which is more of the Middle Eastern modern stuff with modern gear. And we have Vietnam server, which is working with Operation Rolling Thunder, made by McTitties for Lunch, one of my head admins and great developers here at the TrashHouse. But anyways, guys, I highly appreciate it. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for all your guys' comments. I do really appreciate it. Hey, thanks for watching. If you learned something today, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And if there's something that you'd like to see as a tutorial, please let me know. Also, be sure to check out my Twitch. I sometimes do dev streams from time to time, so you might be able to learn something from there. Anyways, take it easy. Bye-bye.